on BTN. The 4-0 Purdue Boilermakers take on the 2-3 Siena Saints. With Sean Morris, I'm Kristen Airy, getting you ready for a Sunday afternoon of basketball. Today's Buffalo Wild Wings starting lineups first for Siena. A pair of freshmen in the backcourt, Marquise Wright and Maurice White. Rob Poole, Levon Long, and Emo Silas up front for a Saints team that has 2 straight wins on last-second shots. For the Boilermakers, they are 4-0 on this young season, and they start the usual 5 that we have seen throughout the year. The brothers, Ronnie and Tyrone Johnson, with freshman Kendall Stevens, senior Eric Peck, and A.J. Hammonds, the sophomore, in the middle. Purdue is trying to go, Sean, 5-0 for the first time in 3 years. It's been a favorable start for this Boilermaker team.
And look for Purdue, Chris, to try to establish A.J. Hammonds early. That's a point of emphasis and concern for Siena. Look for the Saints when they are on defense as well to extend the pressure, try to make it a 94-foot game.
Siena won on Friday night, a last-second shot, as they beat Cornell on the road 71-70. It's a young team with 3 freshmen in the starting lineup, and that's Silas, who has played very well out of Nigeria, a 6'8 junior.
Tough shot by Silas, going to the off or left hand, showing you why he shoots 64% from the floor on the year. Took it right at the shot blocker, Hammonds.
He had a double-double on Friday night, 17 points and 14 rebounds, as Hammonds down low has the shot blocked, but a foul. And a much different A.J. Hammonds than I saw last Sunday here against Ryder. He got in early foul trouble, did not have a field goal.
And I really like the way he demanded the basketball. They isolated him on that left block, Chris. No double team was forthcoming. He didn't rush, able to spin away from contact, and you know that Purdue wants to go inside. They have a decided advantage with Hammonds on the block.
Well, you saw ninth-year head coach Matt Painter, 180 and 95 here at Purdue. His 10th season overall, had a great rookie year, if you will, at Southern Illinois when he was 25 and 5. Hammonds 1 of 2, and it's a 2-1 lead. These teams are playing for the second time as Tyrone Johnson is fouled. So a turnover by Siena with full court Purdue pressure. These teams met in the 2010 NCAA tournament with Purdue winning in Spokane, Washington, 72-64.
And that's a tough play if you're Siena, Chris, because that was really an unforced error. Poole just took his eye off the basketball, allowing the Boilermakers to retain possession, or regain possession, rather.
It was Indianapolis native Tyrone Johnson that made the steal. He missed the shot, then Peck throws it away as Wright hits the side of the backboard, and the ball is loose, and a personal foul is called against Marquise Wright.
That's his second. That's a tough foul for the Siena Saints on the road, as their point guard now has to go to the bench with his second early foul, Chris.
And Rob Poole is up off the bench now for Siena, as Jimmy Patsos, in his first year at Siena after 9 years at Loyola of Maryland, really turned that program around. They went from 1 win to the NCAA tournament before Jimmy left to come to Siena.
Nice post defense right there by Silas, knocking it away.
Hammond shoots the 3 and misses. It's rebounded by Johnson. The former North Central High School standout is nearing the 1,000-point mark in his Boilermaker career. He is 15 points shy, and Patsos will go right back to the bench and take out Maurice White, the other freshman. And he brings in sophomore Ryan Oliver out of Inglewood, California. Here's Stevens, good 3-point shooter. It's off the rim.
Nice execution as Stevens was able to come off a screen by Hammonds, just not able to knock it down.
Hymes is a junior out of Durham, North Carolina, and now a walking violation on Silas.
Yeah, he had the shot blocker on his back. We saw him maintain offensive patience during the first possession. There he got ahead of himself, pulled that pivot foot, easy call for the official.
Had a chance to visit with Jimmy Patsos before the game. This is what they want to do. Yep. They want to press, they want to run a high-tempo game, and that plays into the hands of Tyrone
That's a tough shot by Tyrone Johnson there, Chris. Going with the off or left hand off the window. And if you get over the top without a great shot blocker in that back line of defense, you have to attack. Purdue took advantage.
He is the most veteran Boilermaker, the senior out of Indianapolis. Poole looks inside. Levon long. Silas with another jump hook. And it's rebounded by Peck. Stevens for three. And Peck has the loose ball for Purdue. Ronnie Johnson inside to Hammond. Spin at the rim, but a personal foul.
I like Silas. I tell you what, he is not scared. Nice little dribble drive and dish by Ronnie Johnson in tight quarters. But watch Silas. I like that. Go up and make the big fella earn it from the line. Now, if you're Coach Jimmy Patsos, you're not necessarily as excited about it because you don't have a great deal of depth along that front line. But, you know, don't give up the dunk to Hammonds. Make him earn it.
Hammonds just hit 1 of 2, 7 points, 5 rebounds on the year, and Hammonds now with his second point, 4-2 Boilermakers. Get involved in the Twitter conversation around today's game. Go to btn.com/connect. You can find our hashtags periodically in the upper right of your screen. BTN Connect. Orlando to the Old Spice Classic on Thursday. Purdue plays Oklahoma State. Siena is in the other bracket, and they play Memphis.
And I tell you what, the point guard for Siena, Evan Hymes, he may not qualify to ride the rides. They list him at 5'8". There's no way.
There's no way he is the same size that I am.
No, he's not. If he's 5'8", I'm Brad Pitt. You're sitting close to me. You know that's not the case.
Oliver's jump shot. Rebound tipped up and out of bounds, belongs to the team in gold, and that's the Siena Saints. Brett Bisping is on the floor for the first time. 6'8" sophomore out of Peoria, and there is Hymes, who's a junior. He has 41 career double-figure games, the most on this Siena roster, and the rebound falls in the hands of Peck.
And I tell you what, Stevens got away with one right there. He had a handful of the Siena player's jersey.
Inside, Hammonds right at the rim, left it short. Got it back. Puts it in, but he walked.
Yep, and I tell you what, you catch it that deep if you're A.J. Hammonds on the initial offering, you have to complete. You've done your job. Watch where he catches this ball, Chris. I mean, it should be over. And he leaves it short. You have to put your shoulder into the defender because the defender was in the restricted zone. Any kind of contact, it's an automatic 2 shots because the defensive player was within the restricted area.
Marquise Wright has the ball, one of 7 freshmen on this Siena roster. That's the 4th most in the NCAA, and the foul is on Kendall Stevens, and that's his first.
The Karma train made a stop with Kendall Stevens there because he got away with one the last time.
6-2. Purdue has scored the game's last 6.
Nice job by Tyrone Johnson closing out on Poole on a design play to score on the out of bounds.
Siena just 1 of 5 from the field. Oliver finds Poole. And now Silas, guarded by Jay Simpson. Poole's 3. And Simpson grabs the rebound, the redshirt freshman out of Champaign, Illinois. Ronnie Johnson leaves it short, but that will stay with Purdue with 16:07 to play in the first half.
I've been very impressed, Chris, with how well Purdue has closed out under control on the Siena shooters. They're not coming out flying at them. They're coming out staring right at the trunk and having the hand up to contest. That's one of the toughest things to do in basketball, and Purdue is doing it very well thus far.
They look to post up Simpson. Now Peck swings it to Johnson. Ronnie out behind. 4 minutes plus, and the Boilermakers have matched up very well in the half court.
They have turned Siena over in the early part of the ball game, Chris. 4 points off the turnovers. Of the 6 points that Purdue have, 4 of those have come as a result of Siena miscues, and 2 of those were of the unforced variety. The Saints also finding themselves in a little bit of foul trouble with 4 early fouls here.
Well, give a lot of credit to Jimmy Patsos out of the timeout. He diagrams that play, and Long has his first basket.
Yeah, really nice job coming out of that dead ball situation, going right to the rim.
Simpson tried to go back door. It is kicked right back to him. Freshman Bryson Scott out of Fort Wayne is in. That's a freshman, and Stevens misses. He's missed 3 of those. And a jump ball possession arrow belongs to Purdue. Basil Smotherman is in. Another freshman out of Indianapolis for the Boilermakers. And so it's Smotherman, Scott, Stevens, Johnson, and Simpson. And look at that freshman class. Scott from Fort Wayne, Simpson is a redshirt freshman, Stevens out of Illinois, and Smotherman out of Lawrence North.
Well, Kendall Stevens has a great family lineage here at Purdue. His father, Everett Stevens, a wonderful guard in the 80s, along with that team with Todd Mitchell and Troy Lewis that had such success here.
That's another offensive rebound for Purdue. That's their 7th.
Yeah, and if you're Siena, you can't give up that many opportunities at the rim. You do a pretty good job of stopping the initial thrust, but you have to clean up the mess.
Silas is now out of the game. Their low post presence for Siena.
Nice move.
Long again. Simpson the rebound.
Nice move. Everything but the finish. Nice up and under, but you saw the size advantage of Purdue kick in.
Rayfel Davis is in. Sophomore out of Fort Wayne for the Boilermakers. Spin move off the rim and free throws for Tyrone Johnson. Evan Hymes picks up the foul.
Nice hard cut makes this possible. You saw Tyrone Johnson, a good hard cut. And a year ago, Chris, you might have seen Siena be able to body that cutter. But since it's a point of emphasis right now, you saw Tyrone Johnson, the ability to come from the right side of the lane to the left, unimpeded.
Now, this is the area that he has struggled. Now, he banks that one in, coming in 50% from the field. Reading an article in the local paper here, he was more concerned. People giving him adulation with how he's played. He said, look, I'm only a 50% free throw shooter. I've got to get better. And he's 50% on this trip, and it will be Siena ball.
Especially with the way, if you're Tyrone Johnson, that you like to get to the rim and take contact. You're leaving points on the board and on the floor, not only individually, but for your team. He's become a better perimeter shooter, but his bread and butter is getting to the rim.
Yeah, neither of these teams are good free throw shooting teams. Purdue comes in at 63%, Siena at 67.5%. Long is a freshman. Wright is a freshman. They came with Jimmy Patsos when he made the transition from Loyola, Maryland to Siena. Nice pass to Long. Silas is back in, working the offensive glass. Saved by Purdue.
Purdue dodged one right there because that was really nice execution by Siena.
More depth than Matt Painter had a year ago for this Boilermaker team, and Simpson loses it out of bounds. That's the 4th Boilermaker turnover.
Now, if I'm Siena right now, Chris, I want to make sure that I get the ball inside to Silas and let him touch the ball in the post, especially with Hammonds coming back into the ballgame now. He's been sitting over there. He hasn't had a chance to get into the flow. Post up Silas and pay dividends on the opening salvo here. Let's go inside, make him touch the ball, make Hammonds defend.
Hymes off the screen. Sterling Carter in for the first time, and there's Silas. Couldn't get it, and it's rebounded by Smotherman.
I like the play, though. You went right where I would have gone.
Now Purdue goes inside to Hammonds, and he walked again.
Yeah, and that's an excellent call. You know, if you're Hammonds, that's on you. It's a wonderful post feed. It leads them right to the rim. All you have to do, Chris, you've done your job. Gather, be in basketball position, and finish.
Siena is just 2 of 11 from the field, but Purdue was countered at just 3 of 12 and 5 first-half turnovers.
And I'm going to go right inside, and I'm going to test Hammonds right now because his body language is not very positive. I'll go right at him.
Scott, 3-on-1. Davis finishes.
Nice pass, excellent pass, and good catch. Once again, you had the number situation, 2-on-1. That's why you work on those 3-on-2, 2-on-1 drills in practice for situations like that.
Now, Poole turns the corner, the contact and the foul. And Rob Poole, a junior out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, will shoot 2.
Good job. Head up, bounce pass. That's a tougher catch than it looked at first appearance, and the completion at the rim by Rayfeld Davis.
Smotherman got the foul, his first, second on Purdue. 62% free throw shooter is Poole, who's had 4 double-figure games this year. And now Michael Wolf comes in, a 6'9" freshman out of Germantown, Maryland. Had a chance to visit with him before the game. He came over and said, hey, I know you work and do the Indiana Pacer games with Roy Hibbert. He went to Georgetown Prep, where Roy Hibbert went to school.
Well, he's got his hands full right now. This is not, when they go back and watch the tape in that sequence there, Chris, they're going to be very distressed with the fact that the initial players in the press did not sprint back. They have to sprint back once the ball is over their head. They'll address that in the film session when they review the tape.
White looks inside, ball kicked by Carter. And the ball will stay with Siena. Well, one of the things that Jimmy Patsos is doing, he is running guys in and out.
I tell you what, you just hope that someday Coach Patsos comes out of his shell, right? What a wonderful guy. He is so engaging, was so welcoming to us. And you mentioned it, he had some early foul trouble with his backcourt, but they are well coached. Really well coached. That's the second time we've seen them execute a couple of down screens and free up a player. Most recently here, Poole. They're very well coached and good execution here on the road by the Saints.
And Poole back to the free throw line to shoot 2. Patsos, a longtime assistant at Maryland under Gary Williams. In fact, for 13 years, a part of the back-to-back Final Four teams, and they won the national championship in 2002 when they beat Indiana.
And Coach Williams, former counterpart here with the Big Ten Network, coached in this league as well at Ohio State, and the respect and admiration shared between Coach Patsos and Coach Williams certainly deserved and very visible.
Yeah, Jimmy told us before the game that Coach Williams would be watching this, as we know BTN all across the country. And Jimmy Patsos, a chance for his team to play this Boilermaker team. First season as the head coach. Led Loyola Maryland to the NCAA tournament. The last 2 years, look at that, 47 and 21. And now, after 3 losing seasons at Siena, looking to rekindle what Fran McCaffrey built. 3 straight Metro Atlantic championships in the regular season and the tournament, played in the postseason. Many Big Ten fans know about Siena because they beat Ohio State in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely, and it allowed then Fran McCaffrey to move to the job, and the great job he's doing in Iowa City. But how about, you referred to it earlier in the game, Chris? He took over a program at Loyola, had won 1 game. 1 game. And then he, a few years later, has them in the NCAA tournament. Just an unbelievable job. They were a postseason team a year ago as well.
Hymes has the basketball, guarded by Ronnie Johnson, who's back in. So Matt Painter has also made a number of changes here early. Purdue will go about 10 deep, maybe 11. Siena would like to play 9. Hymes off the screen from Bisping. Gets inside, and the little guy got it, and the foul.
Nice job of utilizing that high screen. They pulled Rayfeld Davis out away from the rim. And Hymes, watch him turn the corner. He understands that he has Davis out of his comfort zone defensively. Puts his shoulder to the rim. That's why the good Naismith, Chris, put that backboard up there. Utilize it. The little guy does. Good completion.
3 straight double-figure games for Hymes. He had 15 Friday night. Again, Their last 2 wins come in the last seconds. Silas had a putback with 6.5 to beat Cornell on Friday. 22 to play in the first half at Mackey Arena. It's Purdue at the free throw line, and now for the State Farm State of Success. The Boilermakers average almost 88 points per game, Sean, and 75 or more points they have scored in 6 consecutive games, the longest streak since 1998.
They've utilized their defense here to put points on the board. 8 fast break points, 5 second chance points, and 4 points off turnovers for Purdue thus far.
That's a missed 3 by Tyrone Johnson. Poole the rebound for Siena. Boilermakers 0 for 6 behind the arc.
And the leading scorer for Purdue, Ronnie Johnson, coming into the ball game, Chris, yet to break into the scoring column.
And Hammonds recycles that shot. But the ball loose, picked up by Poole. Bisping over the top of Hammonds, and that's a foul. We'll walk the other way. A.J. Hammonds to shoot free throws for a Purdue team that is just 3 of 9 at the free throw line.
And the initial block by Hammonds, really like what the big fella does, coming with that inside or left hand. A lot of times you'll see a guy try to block a shot with his right hand. If he does that, chances are he's going to come down across the shooter. He utilizes that inside hand. As a result, you can see he's leading the conference in block shots at 4 per game.
Yeah, he had 7 against Central Connecticut State and hits the free throw now 3 of 5 at the free throw line. Jawan Johnson was the only other Boilermaker since almost 20 years ago that's had 7 block shots in a game. And Hammonds makes them both. And the lead is 6 for Purdue at 17 to 11. Boilermakers come in 4-0. Siena is 2-3. Both teams head to Orlando for the 18 tournament at Disney starting on Thanksgiving Day. Hymes for 3.
Nice job. Nice job by Wright of coming under control, Chris, and forcing the Purdue defense to adjust. That allowed Hymes to sit up in the left corner, and we're seeing Siena now going to a 2-3 zone to try to stem the tide. This is a very small lineup on the floor right now for Jimmy Patso.
They lob it inside, put it on the floor, taken by Wright.
Why go from 7 feet to 6 feet by putting the ball on the floor if you're Hammonds? Turn around and complete.
6 Purdue turnovers. The 3 by Hymes was our first of the day. Hymes got around Johnson inside Bisping.
And Hymes has been a big lift off the bench for Coach Jimmy Patsos. He knocks down a 3. Here's dribble penetration and the leave at the rim.
He's really their most veteran guy on the floor, as Jimmy Patsos has brought in a pretty good freshman class. That's tipped out. Now Siena running with a chance to take the lead. Hymes can't finish, but tipped in.
And a really good job by Hymes of punishing Purdue. The zone defense paying dividends right now for the Saints, and they were able to utilize that missed shot and get numbers in the open floor.
So Siena 18, Purdue 17, as Bisping got a second basket. Tyrone Johnson inside.
Good job by Purdue being patient. They reversed the basketball. A little bit of a high screen allowed Tyrone Johnson to come off shoulder to shoulder for Bisping, and then off a missed shot, Hymes again attacks the glass, not able to convert, but good hustle by the Saints in transition, utilizing numbers.
And that's where Jimmy Patsos, you don't mind the missed shot because it's aggressive, and anything at the rim you hope you can follow.
And they sprinted down. That was a great job. Guys did not give up on the play, assuming the make. They assumed the miss and were rewarded. And Silas back inside now for Siena. Let's see if they try to go inside to him with Hammonds on the bench. He's being checked right now by Simpson.
The pair of freshman guards work against each other, and now Hymes another 3. This one's too strong. It's tipped out to Wright inside to Poole. Silas put it in.
And Siena right now, let's be honest, Chris, just more active and more aggressive going to the glass. A couple of Purdue players standing flat-footed. That allowed Siena to sneak inside. Bad shot. Very fortunate because that was off one pass on the three. Purdue very fortunate there.
And now Poole out to Hymes. Yeah, Scott got that bounce. He has 7. 22-20. On the dribble, Poole lost it, picked up by Ronnie Johnson to his older brother, Tyrone. And that will go to Siena as it lands on Scott. History of knocking off big teams in the NCAA tournament. Jimmy Patsos talked about flying into Chicago, having his team see Chicago and the chance to come here and play a Big Ten team on their home floor. And
his team, they had some jitters early on, but they have really showed themselves very well in the last 5 or 6 minutes, taking much better care of the basketball. After 4 quick turnovers, only 5 total here in the half.
That's short by Ronnie Johnson. Now they push it ahead. Bisping missed it, rebounded by Silas.
Really good job by Siena again of hustling down the floor.
That's Hymes inside. He is playing much bigger than the 5'8" listed on the roster, and we're tied at 22.
And this 2-3 zone has utilized by Siena has paid big dividends.
Johnson inside, and that's rebounded by Bisping.
And Hymes, look, there's Purdue again. They don't locate the ball. They're very fortunate that Hymes missed that shot. You had guys in the paint, Chris, but they had their back to the ball.
Oh, a nice pass into Ronnie Johnson. Good look by Bryson Scott. Johnson and Scott have shared the point guard duties for much of the year, but we're seeing them together here today.
Yeah, and you're seeing some inexperience by Purdue defensively. It's one thing to sprint back, but you have to locate the ball.
Hymes again, rebounded by Peck.
Nice job by Peck. Good, strong rebound with 2 hands.
He's a graduate student in his 5th year, played at Cornell. And Bryson Scott to the free throw line. He's been aggressive. He had 14 in their win on Wednesday here against Eastern Illinois, his 2nd double-figure game of his freshman season. Levon Long has just picked up his 3rd foul as Ryan Oliver is back in for the Saints.
What you saw in that last dribble drive by Scott is the point of emphasis. He had gone into his upward motion to shoot the ball before Siena was set and had rotated over defensively.
Scott has 8. Stay tuned at the half for the State Farm halftime report. Mike Hall recaps yesterday on the Big Ten Gridiron, plus Sean and I break down our first half here in West Lafayette. Michigan State and Ohio State will play in the Big Ten championship game at Lucas Oil Stadium in early December. Boy, what about Urban Meyer and the Buckeyes? 23 straight wins.
Great matchup there. Everyone talks about Michigan State's defense, but their offense is really starting to pick up the pace as well. .40 to play. First half, Purdue by 4. Wright gets inside with a nice move. Nice hesitation dribble by Wright, looking off the defender and then the floater with a little bit of contact and traffic in the lane. Nice job by Siena. Stay in that zone. Scott finds the middle, can't finish. And an offensive rebound by Simpson. And that's been an area of concern for Siena in this entire half. Purdue already in double digits in offensive rebounding. That's their 12th thus far. And as a result, they're getting into the bench of Siena, allowing the Saints to have some foul trouble here The good news for Siena is that Purdue hasn't taken full advantage of their free opportunities from the line, only 7 of 13 thus far.
And the bad news for Siena, there are two really low post present players, Levon Long and now Emo Silas. They each have 3 fouls.
That's a really big foul for Silas because he had given them an inside presence, a couple of stickbacks. They started the game by going inside to him. So he's going to have to sit over there easily for the remainder of the half. And that's where the zone defense has to tighten up because they've had to go to that for foul trouble. Now they can become even smaller with Silas on the bench.
Wright is a freshman out of Waldorf, Maryland. He was the Maryland High School Player of the Year. Guarded by Sterling Carter. Matt Painter has said he's Purdue's best on-ball defender.
He's working him over.
Blocked by Peck. And with 4:54 to play and 7 on the shot clock, the possession belongs to Siena.
Nice hustle, good job of rotating over in the block shot. I like it. Both teams getting on the deck, digging it out. Nice hustle.
Wright will leave. Hymes is back in, and for the first time today, Travis Carroll, a senior for Purdue out of Danville, Indiana. Poole on the baseline to the basket and scores.
Well, that has been a really impressive part of Siena's attack. That's the 3rd time they've scored on an out-of-bounds situation. Good job of utilizing the curl cut. Up top by Poole, came off shoulder to shoulder.
Carter hits the 3. Sterling Carter, just a 20% three-point.
Times in the corner, but he has been phenomenal off the bench for Coach Jimmy Patsos here this afternoon.
Remember John Lucas, the 3rd current NBA player, played at Oklahoma State. Hymes has that look.
And that motor.
Yeah, absolutely.
They needed that motor because they were really kind of on their heels before he checked into the ball game.
4 minutes to play. First half at Mackey Arena. And Siena turns it over.
And that's a tough pass for Wolf to try to make because even if his teammate catches it, he's in no position to do anything with it. But Siena...
Major League pitcher John Lannon, who throws it for the Washington Nationals. And Siena has hung around here. As Tyrone Johnson, front court. First time we've seen a little bit of a half-court trap. Stevens for 3.
Really nice execution by Purdue. Very, very nice. They got the ball in the middle of the floor and didn't panic. They got over the top. You saw Siena try to run up and utilize
pressure, but Purdue a great job of moving the ball and finding that open shooter.
And getting it to your senior leader in Tyrone Johnson in the middle of the floor. And I like what he did. He turned and located the defense, Chris, before he put the ball on the floor. What the defense wants you to do is speed you up and get you to turn and put the ball on the deck before you locate the defense. Tyrone Johnson didn't bite.
8-point lead for Purdue. Long is playing with 3 fouls. Stevens the rebound.
Still nice execution. Siena really does a good job, Chris, of utilizing that little curl cut on the down screen by the block, just not able to convert in that particular situation.
Now Siena's going back man-to-man. Carroll comes out to set the screen. Stevens again. He looks for another 3.
That was a rhythm shot as a result of the last possession. He felt good seeing the last one come in. He caught that very confidently. Excellent backspin and rotation.
Purdue's last 4 field goals are 3-pointers, 3 by Stevens, and a blocking foul against Purdue.
And my guess is, we can't see it completely from the angle, but my guess is that Travis Carroll was very close to that restricted area, and if any part of the defender is in that restricted area, it's an automatic block call.
First on Carroll, 6-team foul against Purdue. And Maurice White, a couple of free throws, a freshman out of Baltimore, Maryland, averaging almost 8 points and 3 rebounds. Siena misses its first free throw.
What's the last play? The dribble drive.
Boy, that was close. He looked to be outside that restricted area. The question was, the new rule, you must be set before he goes in the air.
In his upward motion. He doesn't even have to be in the air. If he's starting to bring the ball up, and it's a very different point of refereeing emphasis, Chris, because in the past it's a 180.
Yeah.
You used to locate the defense and then the offense. Now you have to see what the offense is doing, and then you have to try to pick up the defense and see if they're set.
Stevens misses, rebounded by Oliver.
Well, they can't lose Poole over here in the corner. He's wide open.
And again, you cannot put your hands on the offensive player, and that's, again, with the new rule change. And I've talked to many coaches, and Matt Painter told me, he goes, hey, I've got good three-point shooters. Kendall Stevens is one of those, but we want to take the ball to the basket to put pressure on the defense. Now, when you do that, you've got to make free throws, and Purdue has not done that today. And
it allows you to get into a team's bench potentially, and they've done that thus far this afternoon. Siena finding themselves in some foul trouble, but Purdue very fortunate even to give up that foul, Chris, because what that was going to lead to was a dribble drive along the baseline, and they had Poole, one of their better three-point shooters, wide open in the left corner.
And look at that now. Siena has answered with 3 straight misses.
And if you're Purdue, you need to tidy up this area. This has been a very productive part of Siena's game, scoring on the out-of-bounds situations here.
Purdue shooting 42%, Siena shooting just 32%.
Really good job by Purdue of taking it away. Excellent adjustment by Coach Painter and his staff to jam the cutters and force them outside.
Now Poole finds Hymes inside to Bisping.
What a pass by Hymes. And it was a small thing, Chris, but he put the ball on it with enough mustard so his teammate didn't have to go down below his waist against those shot blockers. He was able to go right into his motion. Wonderful delivery by Hymes. Inside, they just haven't been able to complete, particularly from the foul line. It has not been very kind to the Boilermakers here this afternoon. Only 8 of 15 from the charity stripe.
Well, a holiday week is coming up. Great to see all of the Purdue students here in the paint crew supporting the Boilermakers on this Sunday at Mackey Arena. Against the zone again, Davis on the baseline.
Nice double down, forcing Davis to kick it back out.
The Johnson brothers work. Ronnie's the sophomore, Cherone the senior. They probe that zone with 12 to shoot.
Siena really keeping it compact.
Peck leaves it short. Poole fights for the rebound. Well, when Jimmy Patso saw that Carter and Stevens were on the bench, he decided to go back to that zone.
And really make it compact and force them to try to shoot over the top. Hammond's also on the bench, so their best back-to-the-back score is not in there. You take away the dribble drive and the slash, which is the bread and butter for Ronnie and Tyrone Johnson.
Bisping gets inside and scores again.
That's what happens when you don't close out under control. The shot fake, the flyby, and a good job by Bisping, who, like Hymes, has given Siena a nice lift off the bench.
39-34, 6 straight for the Saints, and Bisping the block. Hymes, look at that.
And how about Hymes attacking the backpedaling Tyrone Johnson? He had Tyrone Johnson backpedaling, attacking that inside foot, and able to come up and complete on the other side. On the previous possession, Ronnie Johnson didn't need the dribble. The dribble allowed Poole to recover for the block.
About 2 seconds between the game and the shot clock. And Purdue's lead cut to 3 on an 8-0 Siena run.
And if you're Siena right now, you absolutely have to limit this to 1 shot, because they're going to get a shot up on the rim here with about 2 seconds to go. You don't want to allow a second opportunity.
Poole tips it out to Hymes from 3-quarter court. Saints are looking for their third straight win after last-second wins against St. Bonaventure and Friday night at Cornell. Now, the bad news for Jimmy Patsos is they've not been a good second-half team. You can see the numbers, averaging 39 in the first half, just 29 in the second. They played really well. I'm sure he had that conversation with his team in the locker room at the half.
And he also emphasized the fact that they are in some foul trouble, especially along the front line with both Silas and Levon Long, two of the larger players for Siena, in foul trouble with 3. And Purdue, again, tries to go inside to get A.J. Hammonds going exactly where you want to go, but he's not able to convert.
Oh, bad pass, but a holding foul, and it will be against Purdue. That's why Tyrone Johnson was able to get to that ball. That's his first, and the first against the Boilers as we start the second half.
Chris, again, this was an area where Siena was able to score until the last time on the out-of-bounds situation. Purdue took it away. They do an excellent job, again, of forcing them to kick it out.
They throw it away, so Purdue gets the basketball back. We've mentioned that Siena has 7 freshmen, the 4th most in the NCAA. One of those is Wright, that will quickly go to the bench. Purdue is young as well. We saw, and when you count Jay Simpson, who's a redshirt freshman, they have 5 freshmen on their roster.
And it seems like, let's not forget, the point guard, Ronnie Johnson, only a sophomore. It just seems like he's older because of the experience he got last year.
There they go. They get it in on a A.J. Hammonds.
And a nice job, as you mentioned before we went to break, Chris, of Ronnie Johnson sensing he had an opportunity to get this big fella, A.J. Hammonds, involved. He does just that on a transition opportunity. Johnson to Hammonds for our Reese's perfect combination.
Wright is back in, the freshman out of Waldorf, Maryland. 3 from Poole. Stevens. Here comes Johnson again. Put back up, no good. Peck couldn't get it. Rebounded by Silas.
Silas just took it away, wanted it more there.
Right, the show and go. Got it over Stevens. Wow, the freshman with his second field goal.
I really like the fact that Siena, when they sense that they have the defender backpedaling, they attack that inside shoulder and go right to the rim.
Peck spins to the basket. Nice pass into Hammonds, but it's blocked from behind by Silas. And then Tyrone Johnson, who is inching closer to the 1,000-point mark to become the 47th in Purdue history. He's 4 away.
And I tell you what, Tyrone Johnson bailed out Purdue there. They got the ball at point-blank range again, Chris, to Hammonds, who's got to go up stronger than that in traffic.
Rob Poole in double figures with 10. And a timeout, a 30-second timeout by Matt Painter. We've talked about the defense that Purdue played.
Go a little bit further back, Paul Hewitt also had it going there at Siena as well. And Coach Fran McCaffrey took them to even greater heights and then is taking that magic to Iowa City.
Johnson, Peck, Hammonds, and Stevens, the starting 5 on the floor for Purdue. Nice shot fake by Ronnie Johnson.
Very nice job of getting in the gut between the 2 lines of that 2-3 zone defense there, Chris. The shot fake coming under control and not over-penetrating, taking it into the teeth of the defense, stopping at the foul line.
Oh, good hands by Tyrone Johnson. Ronnie Johnson out to Peck, saves it, but Poole has it. Turnover, Boilermakers. Right inside. Poole got the rebound. And Ronnie Johnson, the steal.
Somebody needs to get a stick and kill that thing.
Oh, nice pass from Hymes to Poole.
Nice job by Hymes. And that was a proper utilization of the behind-the-back pass. That wasn't for Mustard. That was a good pass that led Poole right to the rim, and Siena's able to take advantage of the scramble situation.
Hymes and Poole lead Siena with 12 points each. That was Hymes' third assist. Ronnie Johnson leaves it off to Hammonds and fouled from behind, and that's trouble now for Siena. That's the fourth on Emo Silas.
And I tell you what, you know, it sounds like you're kind of picking on A.J. Hammonds, but he has to complete that. You catch it that deep, he has the ability and the size to go up and dunk the basketball. So if you're going to get the ball that deep, you can't go up there soft, because even though they call the foul here, that was not a whole lot of body contact, and he had an opportunity for a three-point play. Right now, he has a chance to maybe potentially only come away with one. Ronnie Johnson gives it to him. Now, he has to catch, deliver, and go right up. He short arms it. He doesn't go up strong and put his shoulder to the rim, Chris.
Would you rather, Sean, see him as Johnson deliver that catch and go up instead of bring it down?
Yeah, you can't go from 7 feet to 6 feet. There's absolutely no reason to do that.
Missed them both. Here's Hymes. Look how quick. But Hammonds the foul. I give Hammonds a lot of credit to rush down the floor in a transition situation. Looked like he had the block shot, but too much body contact.
Let's see right here. Yeah, he got it. There's no question. It was clean up top. But watch right there. Boom. The contact from the trunk down. But I give the big fella a lot of credit. He didn't give up on the play.
Paint crew didn't agree. Hymes at the line, 2 free throws. 80% free throw shooter, comes in averaging 9.5 points per game, but already with his 4th double-figure game of the year. He has 12. After making their first 5, Siena had missed 4 straight at the line before Hymes hits one there. It's a 2-point Purdue lead.
Really good play by Hammonds, Chris. He sealed off the weak side defender. That allowed Scott to get all the way to the rim. Good job by Hammonds of giving himself up there.
Bryson Scott has 9. He's in the backcourt with Tyrone Johnson. He replaced Ronnie. Jimmy Patsos holds up a finger. Scott the steal. Hymes got it back. And now stolen again. That's the pressure Purdue puts on you. And a reach-in foul against Siena.
And Scott is giving Purdue a nice lift. Bryson Scott sticking his nose in there defensively against the smaller Hymes, leads to a breakout opportunity, puts his shoulder right to the rim. Watching the scramble situation, Scott very aggressive on the initial thrust. Then they trap the smaller player, and then Scott, there's no question what he's going to do with it. Nice use of the crossover, put your shoulder to the rim, draw the contact.
Not a shooting foul. Purdue the basketball. Hammonds catches against Bisping. And this time Hammonds seals the deal and scores.
And what's the big difference there, Chris? You saw that left or inside shoulder pointed to the ceiling.
Second foul on Hammonds, so he takes a seat. And the third team foul against Purdue. And free throws for Maurice White. Both teams did not hit 40% from the field in the first half. Both teams shooting it better here in the second half. Purdue 5 of 10. Siena is 3 of 5. And both teams need to do a better job at the free throw line, though Siena's been better, 7 of 11. The Boilermakers just 8 of 17.
And they've not taken full advantage of their size going inside. Dribble drive has also paid dividends, but you get there, you have to convert.
Scott tipped up and in. That's Simpson.
Well, a good streak by Simpson there, because Siena had a hold of him down there. He's able to go up with one hand and tip it in. And Scott has given Purdue a big lift off the bench, much like we saw Hymes give Siena in the first half.
Right inside with a left hand. 51-47, lead at 4.
I really like what Bryson Scott has given Purdue on both ends of the floor. A little bit of a toughness and a willingness to attack the rim.
Scott's jumper goes one-on-one, has 11.
like his demeanor, Chris. It never changes. There's not a lot of kids that come in tailor-made, ready to compete. There's a difference between playing and competing. This young man competes.
And did you look at how he defended there? He was beaten, did not use his hands, backed off, but kept his feet moving.
Exactly. And watch where his eyes are. They're located right on the trunk of the ball handler, so he's not going to go for any kind of ball or eyebrow fake.
Three-point shot, too strong. Peck has the rebound. Carter is in. Three-point shot. And White has the rebound.
And that was a tough shot by Carter because the pass was behind him. He wasn't able to catch and go right into his motion.
Right inside with a tough shot and the foul.
And there's one where Coach Jimmy Patsos is happy they did not acknowledge his timeout. He's calling for a timeout as his player was trapped on the sideline. It's not acknowledged, but Siena able to score. You see right here, Coach Jimmy Patsos was looking for a timeout, wasn't acknowledged, and the Saints understand, break that pressure and right for a chance to be at one.
And that would have been his final 30-second timeout if he wanted to use it or use the full. As Wright, a chance to complete the three-point play.
And he's over there chuckling about it right now.
53-50. Again, very animated. You just love watching Jimmy Patsos coach, sideline demeanor. But he learned from the best, Gary Williams.
A little bit of intensity, good execution. Right now, you do not have, with the exception of Kendall Stevens, you don't have one starter on the floor right now for Purdue. Coach Matt Painter trying to find something, particularly from an effort standpoint. And this is a very young squad Purdue has on the floor right now, but a good job of executing against that 2-3 zone and getting in the gut of it right there.
And Smotherman, who just scored on the other end, picks up the foul. That's his second, the fourth against Purdue. Now Silas is back in with 4 fouls.
Good job by Scott of moving his feet, taking away that passing angle inside.
Silas with a right hand.
That was called dribbling with a purpose, Chris. He saw the double team wasn't coming from the weak side. He just put the ball on the floor, used that last rhythm dribble to go up and elevate. Nice job by Silas.
Friday night was his first start at Cornell. He had 17 and 14, and that's an air ball by Bryson Scott.
And a quick shot, too. You can get that shot anytime. And last time down the floor, good job by Silas of stepping around the larger Simpson to create that passing angle. He got him on his back. Hurry. Use that last rhythm dribble to go up and elevate with that jump hook. Nice job by Siena in the half court.
He had the game-winning putback Friday night with 6 5/10 to play to beat Cornell on the road. And Long is chucked out front by Smotherman. That's his third. And it's the 6th foul against Purdue. So one more, and Siena shoots free throws.
Let's see if they try to get it in this half-court set again to Silas.
We've talked about all the rule changes. The one thing is, if you're a good free throw shooting team, you can really take advantage of how the officials are now asked to call the game.
Yeah, the rules have always been on the book. It's just a point of emphasis of enforcing them more vigorously.
Inside, White misses. Silas fouled by Simpson.
Boy, Silas, even though he has 4 fouls, he is getting after things aggressively. Siena gets in the lane. And watch Silas on the bottom part of your screen. He just beats Simpson to a spot, and he'll shoot a couple.
Well, they could have called a foul on Stevens as he really bumped White in the lane. But now Silas at the line. Had only missed 1 free throw in his first 5 games before he misses there. BTN goes where you want, when you want it with BTN to Go, presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Watch live hoops on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. To learn more, visit btntogo.com. Also available in the App Store and on Google Play. Download it today.
Boy, tough break for Siena. An 88% foul shooter for the Saints goes to the line. They come away empty.
Foul is on Poole, trying to fight through the screen. His first and the third against Siena. Saints trailed by 11 late in the first half. They scored the last 8 of the half. It was 39-36 Purdue. At halftime, Carter misses. Poole gathers in the rebound. Right, nice pass to Silas. That was partially deflected and rebounded by Rafael Davis.
Tough break because I don't think Silas caught that cleanly. As a result, that little shuffle allowed Purdue to recover defensively.
Inside, tipped out. Silas had to watch himself, and Ronnie Johnson scores.
The was a rumor to Ronnie Johnson when he went in there, but people might think, hey, that's a sloppy shot. He can hit those. He showed that first half. Let's be honest, in the first 3 or 4 minutes, they were kind of rattled, turned the ball over in an unforced manner, allowing Purdue to build a little bit of a cushion. But they have fought back. Hymes off the bench was critical for them. He gave them a big boost, not just production-wise, but confidence-wise, which has allowed them to climb back in here.
Ronnie Johnson is back in. He has replaced Bryson Scott. That's a missed 3. Ball loose on the floor. Long got it. And we have a personal foul. And it is called against Long, and that will be his 4th. We've got a timeout. 11:03 to play, second half. And Purdue leads by star Sean Morris, and the Siena Saints in foul trouble with Silas and Long. They can ill afford to have one of them on the bench, but both of them on the bench with 4.
And right now, if you are the Purdue Boilermakers, you have to take advantage of that situation. Yes, three-point shooting has paid dividends, but there's no one right now on the floor that can check A.J. Hammonds.
And Hammonds is fouled down low.
Good recognition by Purdue of just that point, Chris. They reversed the basketball, and Hammonds didn't become a statue on one side of the floor. You saw him utilize that body. Bisping was trying to get over the top, just not able to do that, and a good entry feed by Hammonds led him right to the rim.
A.J. Hammonds with 10:44 to play. He has 9. When you look at Hammonds, this is just his 4th game. Remember, he was suspended by Matt Painter for the first 3 games, 2 exhibitions and their opener. He had 12 points, 5 rebounds, 7 blocks in his first game against Central Connecticut State. In the next 2 wins, he only got 3 shot attempts.
And a lot of it had to do with foul trouble. But a nice job of converting a couple of foul shots right there. They had a special play set up for him out of the timeout, and Hammonds delivered for him.
Purdue's lead is 9. They led by as many as 11, and that's put in by Bisping. You can't fault Hammonds. He went to protect the rim.
Yeah, and his teammates didn't rotate over, and Bisping did a good job of sliding over.
They go right into the big guy again. Hammonds blocked by Bisping. Bisping inside. He loses the ball, and it stays with the Boilermakers.
Yeah, Bisping just out of control. You have to know where you are on the floor. And if you're making the pass to Bisping, you can't lead your teammate into trouble. And here's the last block. Good job by Hammonds of not drawing the contact, with Purdue does not put a body on Bisping. And then right here, if you're Hammonds, Chris, you have to put your shoulder to the rim and force Bisping to come through you. He exposed the ball, which allowed Bisping to recover.
Inside 10 to play. 7-point Purdue lead. Hammonds, and he's held down low.
Good job by Hammonds there, making himself available with the little duck in on the ball reversal. You saw him trying to set up shop. He had a far smaller player in LeVon Long, and I think that's going to be Long's 5th he's going to have to go to the bench. And Silas comes in, and he doesn't have a whole lot of margin for error. He has 4.
Yeah, the day is over for LaVon Long, a 6'6" freshman out of Baltimore, Maryland. Just 2 points and another foul.
Yeah, and that one right there, that play, that's a breakdown defensively by Poole. Because on the inbounds pass, and that's on Poole, the foul given by Silas, that's Poole's responsibility. Because watch right here, he doesn't check the guy who threw the ball in. He's got to bump him off his cut. That allows him to step in unimpeded, and that forced Silas to come over and help.
And I'm not sure Jimmy Patsos even know that it happened. He was over talking to LaVon Long as freshman. An assistant had to come over and tell him, well, you've lost Silas, too.
I wouldn't want to deliver that kind of news.
No. The left-handed Smotherman rims that one out. White gathers in the rebound. So let's see what this Siena team is made of. Their 2 biggest players, their starters, Long and Silas, out of the game with fouls.
And if you're Purdue, Chris, you have to recognize that.
Double figures in each of his first 2 seasons. 13 points as a freshman when he was a member of the Metro Atlantic All-Rookie.
Well within striking distance of Purdue here this afternoon without the play of Evan Hymes off the bench.
Evan Hymes has averaged double figures in each of his first 2 seasons. 13 points as a freshman when he was a member of the Metro Atlantic All-Rookie team. Almost 11 points last year and 9.5 this year. There are the numbers. Now, Bisping at 6'8", but giving up a lot of size. They've got Wright at 6 foot, Hymes at 5'8". We don't know if he's 5'8".
Yeah. Maybe that's the metric system. I don't know.
And they're within 7 at 62-55. Stolen by Poole. Ahead to White. White to the rim.
Another great job by Siena of utilizing that dribble drive and attacking the backpedaling Purdue defender. You got to throw the ball inside. Hammonds has to touch it here. He has to demand it, and they have to give it to him.
And a holding foul on Bisping. Now, Bisping thought he was cleared out by Hammonds. But good recognition, get the ball to the wing. Davis makes the pass.
And a good job by Hammonds of demanding it. I mean, when you have this kind of size advantage, you have to take advantage of it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what Bisping's complaining about. I mean, he tried to go for the half sleeper hole.
And now Bisping sits down, and the freshman out of Georgetown Prep, Michael Wolf, is back in. And A.J. Hammonds, after making just 4 of his first 8 at the line, has now made 3 straight. 7 of 11 on the afternoon, now 8 of 12, and he has 12.
And right now, Bisping now had to go to the bench. So what was an undersized Siena squad got even smaller. So the next time down the floor, they have to go right back to Hammonds. Got a young guy out there in Wolf who's going to end up checking Hammonds. He's listed at about 6'8". That's not the shot you want if you're Siena.
Ronnie Johnson the rebound, and a reach-in foul against Siena, and it's on Maurice White.
And a good job by Rob Poole of going over to his younger teammate Michael Wolf, kind of gathering his team together and saying, hey, you know, we don't need that shot. As a result, Wolf's going to go to the bench. Bisping is back in, almost kind of an offense for defense substitution by Coach Jimmy Pasto.
9th foul on Siena, so 1 more, and Purdue will be in the double bonus. Purdue with 8 fouls has Siena at the free throw line, and Ronnie Johnson, just a 63% free throw shooter, hits the first.
And I tell you, you can tell he's worked a lot on his release. Watch the backspin of Ronnie Johnson on this free throw. That didn't happen last year. A year ago, that thing would come off in kind of a knuckleball fashion. He has spent a lot of time in the gym working on his release. As a result, his margin for error as a jump shooter increases.
He and Tyrone teamed to win a state championship at North Central. And now the brothers in the backcourt. Nearly stolen by Ronnie.
Good recovery by Ronnie as well on Hymes. Really good job by Ronnie Johnson.
Nice follow by White. Sometimes it pays off to be in the right place at the right time.
But again, they got Purdue in a scramble situation.
Ronnie Johnson easily in the lane.
Well, what you saw right there was they recognized that Hammonds was in the ball game. They tried to double down and provide.
Led by as many as 11. They've got the Johnson brothers out of Indianapolis coming in on the year. There's their scoring averages. They've combined for 21. And Tyrone now 4 points away from becoming the 47th Boilermaker to reach the 1,000-point mark. And Purdue turns it over. White gets inside. And here comes Ronnie. Johnson has it stripped by Marquise Wright.
Nice job by Wright of jumping that strong hand. He knew that Ronnie Johnson was coming to his strong hand. Wright doing a good job of honoring the scouting report, but unfortunately for the Siena Saints, they turn it right back over.
And speaking about Jimmy Patsos in his first year, they are in their longest stretch of games away from home since the 89-90 season. This is the second of 7 straight away. They next have a home game on December 23rd at against Hofstra. And free throws now, the double bonus in effect for Purdue, as that's the 10th team foul against Siena.
Well, his team has certainly represented themselves well here this afternoon, Chris, battling through some foul difficulties, some early miscues. They've more than held their own on the glass against a much larger Purdue front line. The rebounding essentially even at this point in time, and Siena with 14 offensive rebounds overall.
Kendall Stevens is back in. He had 3 first-half three-point field goals, and that was in a run of 4 straight. Sterling Carter also had 1, and that's when Purdue took its 11-point lead. A double-figure lead again for Purdue with 7:08 to play in the second half. Hymes in the lane. What a move. 16 for the junior out of Durham, North Carolina.
You better close out under control against Evan Hymes, or he will turn the corner, and he is fearless attacking the rim.
Here's Hammonds.
Nice. Even though he comes up short, that's an assertive move. You can live with that, Chris.
Yeah, that's the best move I think he's made all day.
I'd go right back to him. You have to.
Still plenty of time left on this shot clock at 35 seconds. Poole cut off on the baseline, and then it's blocked by Hammonds.
Good job by Hammonds of coming over to help and then getting that hand up.
Ronnie Johnson, 2 more for the Purdue sophomore.
And the big thing for A.J. Hammonds, a lot of times you'll see a guy swat the ball out of bounds for emphasis. He kept it in play. As a result, Purdue's able to go from defense to offense and convert at the other end with Johnson.
Boilermakers have blocked 9 shots this afternoon, and Hammonds has most of those. Looking for another one. He has 5, and his presence forces the turnover as Siena loses it out of bounds. Probably the best stretch that we've seen Hammonds. You're right. He kept the ball in play, and here comes Ronnie Johnson.
Nice job by Ronnie Johnson of understanding he had a 2-on-1 situation. The Siena defender was backpedaling, but it started on the defensive end by Hammonds, blocking the ball with the inside hand and not knocking it out of bounds.
And now able Matt Painter to rest Ronnie Johnson and Hammonds and bring in 2 freshmen and Bryson Scott and Jay Simpson.
And I go inside to Simpson because right now there's not a whole lot of depth along that front line for Siena. You want to get in there, you're in a foul situation, they go right into Simpson.
Went from one side of the floor to the other. Simpson.
Yeah. And how about the double down by Hymes? They isolate Simpson, which is exactly what you want to do, and then they throw a little bit of a different wrinkle. Watch Hymes from the top of your screen, sees him put the ball on the floor, and that allows him to come in and lead to the jump ball by Simpson because he put it on the floor right down there where Hymes could dig at it.
5th Purdue turnover of the second half. They have 12 today. Siena has 13. Just over 5 minutes to play at Mackey Arena in West Lafayette. Boilermakers by 10. That's another block shot. Another shot tipped away, and Tyrone Johnson. He draws the contact and earns a trip to the free throw line.
And that was some good strength by Tyrone Johnson, Chris. Comes under control with a nice rhythm dribble. And then, even though he's on the left side of the basket, he puts that right or inside shoulder toward the rim. And again, forcing the Siena defender, if he's going to contest, he's going to have to come through him to do it.
Purdue started slow, 8 of 17 at the free throw line, but now they've made 8 of their last 10. And Johnson at the line. Just a 50% free throw shooter on the year, and he's 50% today, 2 of 4. Some work done on the Siena bench with junior Rob Poole.
They're working the eye up there. Is Ferdy Pacheco in the house? He can come in there and clean him up.
And Purdue has matched its largest lead. It's 11. Trying to win on back-to-back Sundays against 2 members of the Metro Atlantic. They beat Ryder last week 81-77. Trying to knock off Siena today. Hymes into the lane. Tyrone Johnson takes it right to the rim, and it's stripped by Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver, he took a risk right there. He took a risk because Tyrone Johnson was coming right at him, and he made a swipe at the ball and is rewarded.
Eric Peck the foul.
He's backpedaling. He knows he's in no man's land right there. Looked like he might have almost been trying to give the foul, but he pokes it away.
Oliver out of Inglewood, California, did not score in the first half, has not scored here in the second. A 3-point average. And the first of the 1-and-1 is good for Oliver. Jimmy Patsos playing without Emo Silas, who fouled out with 6. Lavon Long fouled out with 2. Those 2 guys combined to average 17 points per game. Second no good. Ball loose on the floor. Stevens picks it up. But a jump ball as Oliver tied him up. And the possession arrow, though, belongs to Purdue.
Off the miss. The ball hits the floor, and even though you block out, Chris, you've only done half your job. You have to make that contact and then go get the basketball and not wait for it to come to you.
Johnson, Scott, Peck, Stevens, and A.J. Hammonds this year has played just 66 minutes. Again, did not play in the season opening game. They've shuttled he and Jay Simpson out. He has 17 blocks in 66 minutes.
Very active, came in, blocked 7 against Central Connecticut State. And you can tell right now, Chris, he's not necessarily in complete basketball shape. You mentioned the suspension earlier. He's had to come out of the ball game a couple of times, signaling over to Coach Matt Painter to get him out. If he gets that basketball conditioning, particularly as the conference season approaches, they will really need his presence on the defensive end of the floor in particular.
Evan Hymes is the shortest player on the floor, the smallest guy. He has a game-high 18. Tried to defend, and there's Bisping, the block, but the contact, and Bryson Scott to shoot free throws.
Really nice job by Purdue there, Chris, of spreading the floor and spreading out Siena defensively, which allows Scott to turn the floor, or turn the corner rather, and get to the rim. And I really like what Bryson Scott has given Purdue. Much like Hymes gave Siena a lift in the first half, Scott has done the same here in the second for Purdue.
And Scott's free throw no good. Was 2 of 2 in the first half. Came in shooting 68% at the free throw line. Purdue just 55% today. That'll climb a little bit with the make there. 18 of 32, 56% for a team that comes in shooting 63% as they creep ever so closely and closer to the Big Ten schedule. They've got to improve in that area.
Yeah, especially with the fact that they like to get to the rim and complete as Siena does there. You want to use that dribble drive if you're Tyrone Johnson and Ronnie Johnson. Once you get to the line, you have to convert. Throw A.J. Hammonds in that mix as well.
And I would think for Siena right now, you don't mind putting Purdue at the free throw line.
No, exactly, because you have your two biggest players essentially on the bench. Bisping's done a nice job of holding his own.
And there it is. 999 and 1,000 for Tyrone Johnson. He has 15 points, the 47th Boilermaker in history to reach that magical number.
Good job by Stevens there of keeping the quicker Hymes in front of him. Nice job by the freshman defensively.
Shot clock down to 12. The freshman right cut off by Scott. White on the baseline. Bisping. Now Stevens was there with Hammonds, and it is on Kendall Stevens.
Good job by Siena of not panicking, because that was a really good defensive sequence by Purdue for about 30 of the 35 seconds, but then Bisping makes himself available. The good little wraparound pass, and he'll shoot a couple.
Native of Peoria, Illinois at the line, and his free throw is good. Bisping now has 11. BTN Originals brings you the story of the 2000 Purdue team led by Drew Brees. Hear from legendary Boilermakers, players, and coaches about the magical run to the Rose Bowl. It's Big Ten Elite 2000 Purdue football presented by Chase right after the game on BTN. Drew Brees, after a Thursday night NFL win with the Saints, was at Ross-Ade Stadium yesterday with many of his teammates watching the Boilermakers in action.
And has given back to this university. He and his wife and his family donating the money for the Academic Advising Center here on the Purdue campus.
Just over 2 minutes to play. Ronnie Johnson with Scott in the backcourt. Ronnie gets inside. Rebound tipped out, but here comes Siena trailing by just 7 with 2 minutes to play.
Well, a really good job by Scott there of closing out. I've been very impressed with this freshman.
Bisping takes Hammonds inside. Hammonds gets his 6th block, and Peck gives it now to Johnson. Bad pass by Ronnie Johnson, and then Poole throws it away. Well, both teams have played sort of that chaotic, helter-skelter type of play, and in that situation, Jimmy Patsos, they needed the possession.
Yeah, because that's the second time here in the second half that they've had an opportunity to go from defense to offense, and they had a number situation and threw the ball out of bounds.
Not a whole lot of turnovers today, but there have been some critical turnovers.
Hymes is just screaming at Bisping, when you're going to have a pick set on you by A.J. Hammonds, please let me know, or words to that effect.
And then Matt Painter screamed to Ronnie Johnson, hey, get out to the center line and take time off the clock. Scott, 4 to shoot, right to the basket, got it.
Really, I tell you what, the future is bright for that young man. Not only can he score, he's put up double digits here, but defensively he is locked down in situations when Purdue needed it the most.
Hymes dribbles it right off his foot. There's Scott on the floor.
Oh, yeah. I like that kid.
And so with 49 and 2/10 to play, possession arrow belongs to Siena. We're checking out today's Country Mark on the mark and Tyrone Johnson on the mark with 1,000 career points, 15 today. (77-68) Purdue. Trying to start 5-0 before, like Siena, they head to Orlando for 3 games. Bisping with a left hand.
Nice job by Bisping again, Chris. It's a small thing, but taking that extra step back to create a better passing angle for his teammate, then the ability to finish with the offer left hand.
Brett Bisping comes back to the Midwest with a career-high 14 points. Hymes the foul. 33 and 9/10 to play.
You know what, and this is a good game for Purdue before they head down to Orlando. Now, the competition ratchets up as they face the Oklahoma State Cowboy in the opening round down there in Orlando. But they got an outstanding test here today by the Siena Saints, who really utilized and fought through a lot of adversity, utilizing that scrambling defense and forcing Purdue into some quick shots.
In Orlando, they play Oklahoma State, then the winner or loser Butler, Washington State. The Big Ten ACC Challenge here in December against Boston College. They'll play Butler again in the Crossroads Classic in Indianapolis at Bankers Life Fieldhouse on December 14th. They could play Butler twice in about a 3-week period as Bisping another basket.
But it was made possible by the dribble penetration of Hymes once again.
22 and 8/10, another foul. And Hymes his 4th. Time running out on the Siena Saints. The philosophy for Jimmy Patsos, first to 80 wins. Looks like Purdue's going to get there.
He has to be, he's not going to be pleased with the result. You know, there are no moral victories, as that old saying goes, but his team represented themselves very, very well here today. Let's not forget, Friday night, Chris, they're playing in Ithaca, New York against Cornell. They've got a bus back to Albany to fly to Chicago, then take a 2-hour bus trip here. So they haven't exactly had the planes, trains, and automobiles sort of situation around Thanksgiving you would choose to have, but they have come in and battled some adversity and fought all the way to the end here in West Lafayette.
Another game where Purdue has 4 players in double figures as Ronnie Johnson makes some balls. Hammonds the rebound, and now with 12 seconds to play, this one is over in West Lafayette. The Purdue Boilermakers will improve to 5-0. And they'll head to Orlando for 3 games in that classic down at Disney. Matt Painter has said about this team, the reason he thinks it will be better than last year when they finished 16 and 18 is just with players like this, Bryson Scott, who could be a starter coming off the bench. He's got a lot more depth than he had a year ago.
He has a lot more depth. And the other thing that Bryson Scott brings you, Chris, is just a toughness, a hard-nosed intensity, especially on the defensive end of the floor. He has shown that, as well as the ability to knock down some shots. And they also have some three-point shooting in the form of Kendall Stevens that they didn't have a year ago.
Tyrone Johnson, the foul. And right at chance to add